John Roland Ridge. His Cherokee name was Yellowbird. He received education at Foreign Mission School. He's most known for his novel The Life and Adventures of Joaquin Murrieta, the celebrated California bandit. He's Caucasian and Cherokee blood. He's the first Native American novelist, and he wrote California's first published novel. The reason why John Roland Ridge was so important to his time is because of the U.S. Western expansion, Native American assimilation, racial tensions, Mexican-American War, and the foreign miners' tax. John Roland Ridge's most famous novel is The Life and Adventures of Joaquin Murrieta. Joaquin is a Mexican immigrant that came to the U.S. in the 1950s in an attempt to make something of himself. During the 1850s, there were a lot of racial prejudices between Mexicans and Americans after the Mexican-American War. The intended audiences were Americans and people who were racially discriminated against. It was surprising that Ridge wrote about a Mexican even though he was a Native American himself. Examples from the literature include, from the book, are the prejudice of color, then the antipathy of races, which are always stronger and bitterer with the ignorant and unlettered. They could not overcome, or if they could, would not, because it afforded them a convenient excuse for their unmanly cruelty and oppression. Also, another quote from the book, and I do this not for the purpose of ministering to any depraved taste for the dark and horrible inhuman action, but rather to contribute my mite to those materials out of which the early history of California shall one day be composed. The cultural impact that John Roland Ridge's book had on people, it showed the American people that minorities have their own lives and stories. His writings woke up the American people, showing that Native Americans can also write great novels, and it positively affected Native Americans, African Americans, Latinos, and women in society. Current day issues relating to our literature include the Cleveland Indians. So right now, Wahoo has been the Indians' insignia since 1948. Ever since it has been adopted, Native Americans have thought it to be racist and disrespectful. Recently, there's been many debates about whether to keep it or change the logo. Two sides behind keeping Wahoo or not. One is against Wahoo. So on April 4th, 2014, there was a demonstration outside the Indian Stadium speaking out against the racism of the name and logo by comparing Wahoo to blackface seen on the image to the right. But evidence for keeping Wahoo is from the Washington Post. They had surveyed 504 Native Americans and asked them if the word redskin is offensive. 7 out of 10 thought it was not disrespectful at all. Current day impact is the Cleveland Indians. They have decided to change the logo for next year. Though today there's still issues in America involving racism against Native Americans, but the literature affecting current day, it didn't really affected us, but more only affected the people back in the 1850s.